Coogs House, undefeated on the road. Houston takes it in Lubbock, 69-61, beats the Red Raiders in their house. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Cougars, daily podcast about your Houston Cougars. And we host Houston-born teacher and coach Parker Ainsworth. Whether you're a hater or a Houston fan that came to step by, Houston fan or a hater that came to step by, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen to the game after the game is over, or your first listen Tuesday morning, whenever you're catching us. I'm so excited, I'm tripping over my words. If you want to join the conversation, we don't want to say, tell us in the comments down below. First of all, what your favorite part of the game was is an obvious one. Second of all, we've been asking a lot about tortillas because that's what Texas Tech does. I guess they don't make a whole lot of threes. Either way, Houston knocks off Texas Tech in this one, 69-61 in a dogfight of a road game. Houston improves to 9-0 on the road, undefeated on the road thus far. Just one more road game to go, one true road game to go. That is, I would argue the Big 12 tournament's kind of an Iowa State, Kansas State kind of home game, but that's not here nor there. This is tremendous. We got a bunch of people commenting already in the show notes here. So much to say about this one. I want to talk about Milos a lot. Milos Uzan, career high 22 points, or at least a Houston career high. I don't know what Oklahoma career high was. I just too excited to look that up right now. Big time performance out of Milos in this one as we talk about this live, breaking it down after the game. He was super aggressive early, super aggressive late, picked his spots. X factors across this. And I thought Emmanuel Sharp put his imprints on this one, a couple big threes, a couple big defensive plays. Jawan Roberts, big time baskets inside. And Jawan Roberts went 10-12 from the free throw line when it mattered the most. 10 of the 16 points from the charity stripe. I mean, just like big time performance. Malik Wilson's 6 points felt weirdly important when they happened too. Like I can actually in my head pick out each of those different layups. All right, the two layups and the free throws on the foul one. But like either way, he's just like a true team culture effort on the road in Lubbock. I know they're down a couple guys. You know what? I don't seem to have a lot of sympathy for that after people didn't seem to have a lot of sympathy for Houston losing guys a year ago, right? The truth of the matter is that some of these top programs, Houston, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Arizona, this top portion of the Big 12, they all play with nicks, knacks, and bruises, and guys missing games here, guys missing games there, and find ways to win. Houston won this conference doing that a year ago. That's the way this goes, man. Now, I got a lot of people flying in with reactions here. Joe Bless is incredible game. Team is so clutch. Milos Roberts, especially. Roberts had tough defenders on him, but pushed through and manned up for free throw line. Francis also key. Francis, I thought, played really, really well. Longtime listener Adrian points out all I heard tonight was Tech's injured players. Missed me with all that. No one made excuses for U of H when they had major injuries a year ago. 9-0 road dogs. Agreed. Adrian Ken chimes in as well. What a dogfight. Let's take that number one seed. We're coming for the back door into that number one seed as well. We'll see when March Madness rankings get going. TI7791 says defense stayed the course about as good as you're going to get. Really wish we weren't working tomorrow. LOL. Yeah, that 8 a.m. class is going to be hard to teach. Again, teacher and coach, that 8 a.m. class is going to be hard to teach in the morning, but I don't care. I mean, I have a nice little U of H polo on right here when I walk into class, and I'm just going to be beaming. Houston's Big 12 champs after that one. Oh, man, what a game. John points out here that Cryer looked a little tired. Cryer had the game of the season for him over the weekend to win that one for Houston with 28 points. He had just 5 in this one. I think it's fair to say, like, the expending of all that effort over the weekend led to his 31 minutes, which was the least of any starter not named JoJo Tugler in this one. kind of probably did weigh heavily on his legs. That's probably a fair assessment. Ultimately, though, Houston manages to get the win. Doesn't matter where it comes from, to find another guy to get in the backpack and say, take us to victory. It's been Jawan Roberts before. We've seen Emmanuel Sharp hit big threes. We've seen LJ Cryer do it a couple times. And tonight, Monday night, big Monday in front of the whole nation watching premier ESPN time slot, the guy was Milos Uzan. Continues the point guard legacy, frankly, that Houston has been building. I'm not going to post this one from Walter because it kind of almost swears, but those toughest team wins t-shirts certainly don't look great when you don't win. Ken points out here, Miles' game has grown so much. Can you believe go back and read? I'm not going to go back and do it because I don't want to embarrass anybody. Go back and read those comments on these episodes back in like November when people were like, this guy's not going to work. We have no point guard. Oh my, like people were freaking out because Milo stepped in and had to replace Jamal Shed and was not quite Jamal Shed yet. Really, really tough. And a ton of growth out of that guy. We'll talk more about him in the second segment. I want to talk about other guys as well here. I want to give some props in this as we're reacting at the start to Javier Francis. Francis in this one had just 2 points. It was a nice post move inside. Played 19 minutes, 6 rebounds, a big block. I felt like a lot of what Francis did, though, was stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, right? Deterring at the rim, helping tag the roller, playing a nice like in between two guys from the help side spot to kind of defend two bigs when like Robert someone's out doubling. Francis did so much in this one. Again, limited time, just 19 minutes. He and Tugler split the full 40 at that center spot. But like I think we take it for granted because the culture that Kelvin Sampson's built, right? That like, of course, a starting center is going to get moved to the backup spot and just like perform excellently in that role over the course of his probably final season playing college basketball. And like, of course, that's just going to work out super well for Houston. We take that for granted. I want to stress that this kind of thing will not happen at most other programs or with most other kids. This speaks highly to Javier Francis, highly to the culture that Sampson's built. And frankly, has been so important in what they do because Tugler can't shake the foul bug. He had no fouls in the first half and fouled out with all 5 fouls happening in the second half. Francis really stepped up in a big way. And again, like the big block was timely. He covered JT Toppin for stretches, the best player at Tech. JT Toppin, a lot of effort and like visibly was like just working his butt off. And I don't mean this in a discrediting way. The dude had 14 points on 18 shots. That's Houston defense. That's all that is, right? Houston made that man work. And it wore him down. It wore him down. Admittedly, with their injuries, they were down to just a 6-man rotation. And we've been there before. So I'm not, again, you got to win however it plays out. And that Houston's been there as well. But Juan chimes in Houston because that's just the name of the game. Is Houston wins these kinds of games. Houston wins the game over the weekend, the same kind of thing. Man, what a win to officially seal the share at least of the Big 12 title, regular season title that is this season. Hard to imagine they don't win one of the next 3 games and get it outright as well, but really separated yourself from the pack. There's all kinds of time between now and Selection Sunday to talk about like there's this backdoor you into a 1 seed and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you're currently ranked 6th on the different metrics or whatever as far as what could come to make you the second highest 2 seed. But there's a couple SEC teams that'll probably beat one another and yada, yada, yada. Tonight, just enjoying this one is, I think, the name of the game. Matt points out that it's about time the other guys who are the ones who are shorthanded. And I have to, after watching Terrence and Tugler and ultimately Jamal as well, all those guys go down. Ramon goes down every year, it feels like. I mean, I have to agree with that one. I want to get to more about this one, talk some more about bragging on Milos, kind of talk about what this game tells me about just the growth of Sampson and point guards and stuff like that as well. But before we get too far into this one, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. March basketball, it feels like it's here after that one. It's just around the corner, but it feels like it's here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you just pick more or less on at least 2-player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's fast, easy, and keeps every game exciting. You build lineups. Payouts are fast and easy. All kinds of different deals like Taco Tuesday and stuff like that along the way. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On College is the code for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Parker Ainsworth, Locked On Cougs here, talking about Houston and Texas Tech tussling it out up in Lubbock. And Houston wins 69-61 on the road to stay undefeated. Walter, I don't get to pick my ad. Sorry, that's just the way that one goes. 69-61, undefeated on the road. Road Warriors that Kelvin Sampson has built. And I started off talking about how this is like the ultimate like Milos Uzan game. And Houston lost 3 games by the weekend after Thanksgiving. And honestly, the biggest change was going from Jamal Shed to Milos Uzan. And people in my own comment section online, I'm not a big message boards guy, so I'm assuming message boards were just as vitriolic. People were chewing this guy up and down. Like, what are we doing? When I got this guy from Oklahoma, we beat Oklahoma. The best player won their point guard. And Milos has shown up. He has proven to be a great fit. The shooting has been incredibly important in several victories. He's grown so much, grown into what Houston needs out of their point guards. And I want to, first of all, credit to him for all the growth on that. I don't want to take anything away from the individual growth, what I'm about to say next. He had to voluntarily step into the biggest transfer portal shoes in the country, knew what he was stepping into. He saw that first month. He saw Alabama. He saw Auburn. He saw who was on the schedule. And he said, I'm going to go do that job and get better every day. He's done it. And frankly, Houston doesn't win on Monday night without him. Point blank, period. Yes, he scored 22 points, but he also had tremendous defensive effort, scrapping for the ball, etc. And I want to give a lot of credit as well. Obviously, Kelvin Sampson runs the whole program, but specifically positionally, Quannis White, folks. Quannis White, they split into bigs and guards. Kelvin Sampson gets the bigs. Quannis gets the guards. And just go look through the guards that have come through and played at Houston, run the point under Quannis. You got Galen, you've got Ladiki, you've got Jamal, you've got now Milos. I mean, these guys just find ways to be winners. And that's so much credit to Quannis. The consistency at that position for Houston all needs to go to Quannis. Milos weirdly may have, some people are chiming in the chat here about draft stock. Rob Gray's at the beginning. I think Quantis was here for that at the beginning. I might call Corey the point guard there, but that's not here nor there. You have this group of point guards that have come through Houston getting their shots at the league, right? And weirdly, Milos is like profile. People are asking about draft stock. Might actually be the highest because he's like a 6'4", long, strong, with a good jump shot. Like Jamal had a much more impactful career. He was here for a longer time. Giroux was on the Final Four team, right? Like those kinds of things happen. I don't know where this. I mean, this could also be the Final Four team, right? I'm knock on wood. I want to jinx things, but like, there's a weird world where like the pros just want someone that looks like Milos more, right? And we'll see what happens going into the offseason. I imagine how far Houston goes in March and hopefully early April changes that, right, shifts that a lot. I don't think he'll be deterred by Kingston coming in or anything like that. That's all way down the line. But I see people chiming in and asking about what his pro prospects look like. I think getting 22 points and leading your team to a big-time road victory in Lubbock, the hostile environment. I mean, they were chanting some gnarly, nasty things at all the Cougars. I felt like J1 got it the worst, actually, but either way, to lead your team to victory in that environment, to lead your team to undefeated on the road, 9-0 on the road, pretty impressive. And you got a trip, I believe, to Waco. It's not, I think it's next week. I believe it's next week. You're in Waco for your final road game. I hadn't gotten past it. We got Cincinnati on Saturday, I guess, right? And I mean, that's a very winnable game. Baylor's very up and down. They play better at home than the road, but you got them already. Man, don't get too far. Look, I I really like what I saw at Uzan. I think the most impressive thing about Uzan to me tonight was the aggression, right? Like he opened the game, he was attacking the rim, attacking the rim. When he got swung the ball around the perimeter, he had no hesitation. He let it fly. And then the second half, it was kind of chippy. It was a 2-point game, 4-point game. They got to 5 points, and like neither team was scoring. Tech was hitting free throws. Houston was missing shots. And he was like, screw this, I got it, and just went back to attacking, right? And he had a couple big drives, a nice little assist as well. I believe the assist was to Malik Wilson. He found Wilson at the rim for that layup. It was like a Mikens shot from that spot of the floor. Big time play after big time play. And then, I mean, can we talk about the dagger three, right? The dagger three where Crier, like the draw, sideline out of bounds play. Houston's up 3. If they score, probably over. They drop a play to get Crier in the right wing. He's attacking. He fakes the step back. Guy didn't bite on it, so he attacks downhill at the rim, loses the ball, gathers it kind of awkwardly, and just finds Uzan out on the perimeter. Milos, boom, hits it, big time shot, and like it looked like he said something. He looked over at Sampson the bench, and it's something along the line like. And it was not like it was like an I got us kind of moment. It was like, yes, that guy has got us. I would love if anyone was there in Lubbock or saw it on X, Twitter, Blue, whatever. If you saw it, let us know what he said there because he said something he sent of it, probably had some expletives in it. I got us. And it was a gigantic play for that young man's career to seal that one. Sammy points out he thinks this is the end of the blue jerseys. Maybe we'll go white with blue trim. This white throwback jersey has been pretty good for Houston so far. If you're into the jersey luck of things, wearing the black road jerseys and the white throwback jerseys has worked out pretty well for the Cougs so far. They might want to stick with those. Sharp's pair of back-to-back threes in the first half. Yes, John, correct there. He had a pair of back-to-back threes, kind of stretched the lead from like 2 to 8 really quickly. Big steal in between there as well. Using a shed type game tonight, Brian Lloyd times in where he flipped the switch and we're doing this. And I do think it felt like that because when the point guard does it, there's just like an aggression switch to the point because a point guard is not typically a scoring position, right? You're kind of running the system, running the sets. And when a point guard does it here, like Brian points out, the aggression is a big deal. And it's a visible shift. When Shed would do it, I called it HB dive, just downhill attacking the rim. Milos did it, and there's a little more finesse to it. He's not quite the bull in the china closet in the same kind of way. But really impressive growth. Just again, you go back and think about like he fouls. He's a +5 in the Auburn game, but he can't stay on the floor because of foul trouble. Houston loses that game by 5, right? If this Milos plays in that game, I know they've gotten better too, and they're going to sit here like Zach runs locked on Auburn. He's going to sit here and tell me like we've got better too, Parker, and I'm sure that's true. But filling in those gigantic shoes that Jamal left, Milos getting to be this guy brings this team back to the team we had a year ago as far as expectation goes. Other people chiming in here, two-headed monster of Francis and Tugler. The center position did chime in with 10 points and 9 rebounds. I think those were really important as well. Loved the effort out of these guys tonight. Want to keep on reacting with you live in 1 second before we get too far. Welcome back, Locked On Cougs live reaction show post game. Lots of people chiming here live on the YouTube channel. If you want to get on the action and you listen to this on the audio format the next morning, we're live post game. You can follow me on X at Paints512. I'll keep you in the loop as far as when things are happening, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell so you know we're live. Now, we talk about Milos, we talk about bigs. Can we talk about the Big 12? Houston wins the Big 12, at least a share of the title, technically, on the road in Lubbock with 3 games to play. There are 3 full games left, but Houston's built a lead far enough from the rest of the conference that they're going to win at least a share of it. And they play Cincinnati Saturday. They get Kansas at home and then at Baylor. I don't want to jinx things or whatever, knocking on my wood desk here, but like that's a team that can lock this thing up with games remaining. Just an incredible, impressive. I understand they showed it on the TV telecast tonight. This hasn't legitimately a team walking into a conference and winning it in both of their first 2 years has not happened at any level of Division I basketball, any conference Division I basketball in over 100 years. Let alone going from the American to the Big 12, right? Like that's a big, big deal. That just doesn't happen. Does not happen. And so obviously this kind of thing I think we continue to talk about, like Kelvin Sampson, Hall of Fame, those kind of things. That's all I feel like feels locked up, right? Whenever they want to do it. Obviously Sampson's going to get his own banner somewhere. It probably gets a statue, right? All that kind of stuff. But truthfully, I feel like what's going to be interesting to see is in this season, winning the Big 12 regular season. I'm not a big fan of the Big 12 tournament. I don't think I'm alone in that. I think most analysts see like you don't build a team to win 3 games in 3 consecutive days. You might build it for 2 games in 3 days. I think you build it for a bunch of consecutive 2 games in 3 days, kind of like this Big 12 gauntlet of Saturday where we played Iowa State, Monday night you played Tech, or you play Baylor on a Tuesday, Kansas on a Saturday, those kinds of, close turnarounds between good teams. That's kind of how you build a team. 20 regular season games of that for the Big 12 this year, I think ultimately kind of got Houston, I would argue that the Big 12 regular season is a lot harder to win, a lot more impressive, a lot more significant, a lot more a lot better indicator as to who the good teams are. And so tourney's fun, but you can also just get hot and win that thing, right? And so I don't know where Houston will fall. I do know that currently, coming into Monday night, Houston was ranked 6th, meaning they'd have the second pick out of the 2 seeds as far as where they were going to go. The South region is going to be a gauntlet, and none of them come through very close to Houston. Frankly, you might be better off playing in the West or Midwest region. I don't care a whole lot about a 1 versus a 2. The prestige of having a 1 seed 3 years in a row is kind of cool. And from a content guy's perspective, it is a fun storyline. But honestly, I want to know more about who's in the region, who is healthy for Houston. And I think those things are more important, right? And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I do think there's a backdoor way to get into the 1 seed category here, right? So you could end up going something along the lines of, you back your way in because you get the 1 seed, you get the 4th 1 seed, etc. Juan, whoa. Juan chiming in with a big Juan. Let's talk, buddy. That is very, very kind of you with a big starred comment here. Thank you, Juan. It's a pleasure to cover the Cougs. And wow. Sorry, that took me back a second. Thank you, Juan. I was going to say I was talking about 1 seeds. And I was talking about the idea of Houston potentially getting one. I think Juan just got himself a 1 seed. Juan. I don't, again, teacher and coach. I got a lot of jobs these days. I don't think you guys understand how far that goes. Wow. Thank you, Juan. this Coug team is a pleasure to cover. It's a fun Houston team to cover. As far as like, I like the Rockets, I like the Astros, like the Texans. There's something different about college sports in Houston, and like the fact that Houston's got this college team that feels like a well-kept secret. It's got this college culture that feels like a well-kept secret. It's got, this feels like a pro basketball game that basketball team that feels like a well-kept secret. And I just can't believe, I can't believe I get to do this every day. Talking about Houston, get to talk to my computer about the Houston Cougars for 30 minutes a day, every day. It's pretty sweet. As far as third and fourth jobs go, it's pretty sweet third and fourth job. Juan, you're really, really generous. Thank you. Anyway, I love getting to do this. I love on these kind of nights, right? We celebrate guys like Milos's growth, right? We get to talk about guys like Juwan Roberts. I think they said he got to 140 career victories, like a testament to the growth of the program. Other cool stat I think I heard tonight, and I'm like a little sorry, that was really cool. A little distracted, but LJ Cryer says the first non-Kansas player, if I heard that correctly, first non-Kansas player to win 4 consecutive Big 12 titles. It might have been just 4 Big 12 titles, but that's pretty impressive. It speaks highly to Scott Drew, but it also speaks really highly to the Houston Cougar program he walked into. Really, really impressive guy there. Yeah, just a big, big deal for him. I got other notes here about individuals that, like, I thought Emmanuel Sharp could be the X factor in the start of the game. Talking to Chris Level at Texas Tech, and Chris is, I know we all have our thoughts about Texas Tech fans and fandoms, and fan can be short for fanatic in a lot of ways, and fanatic is not always a great thing when it's people you don't agree with. I like Chris a lot. I think Chris is really good at this. I think Chris is really level-headed. No pun intended, because the last name is Level. Emmanuel Sharp, I told him I thought he could be the X factor because he kind of has been cool lately. And Emmanuel Sharp came in with a couple big back-to-back threes, kind of got you some breathing room. I thought his defense in the second half was huge. You went like 8 minutes where Tech didn't make a field goal. They just made free throws. And admittedly, you fouled them and got them free throws or whatever. But I think Sharp was a big part of that defensive effort across there. He made good decisions with the basketball. He shot when it was his turn to shoot. He shot one in a shot clock shot that was, kind of rushed, but it was the end of the shot clock. But I thought he defended the heck out of the ball when Hawkins had it. They really did a great job of locking that up. And frankly, a team like Texas Tech kind of needs a lot of threes, and they went 6 of 30, and they kind of opened up pretty strong. Hawkins made 2 early, and then Walton made 2 late. So you take off those 4, and that's 2 of 26 from the 3-point line. That's all Houston defense. Now, obviously, JT Toppin shooting for them is not a guy they want shooting a whole lot, right, or whatever. But that's impressive defensive effort. We got a lot to break down. I'm going to probably watch this one again just for fun tomorrow afternoon. It was 8 o'clock. My little guy goes to sleep about 7:30. Maybe we have to start grooming him a little bit early for this one. Hey, let's watch these Cougs, big guy. And we'll talk about this one. We got Cincinnati over the weekend as well. That's a chance to, I think, win the Big 12 outright if my math is correct here. We've got football offseason stuff to talk about. We've been so caught up in basketball. We hadn't talked about that at all. Keyshawn Henderson's got little kids running around Houston wearing raccoon skin caps playing sevens. That's big time. He got an Alabama offer and still seems very committed to the Houston Cougars, and I think that's freaking awesome. And I think he seems like a really loyal kid, and so we'll talk about more about that kind of stuff throughout the week. Maybe I'll get I'm going to try and get Brian on. I want to get someone connected to Keyshawn on, but we'll get Brian on, who's a recruiting expert and does all things with the Portal podcast. Talk about that as well. Anyway, let's say we got a lot going on and Locked On Cougs throughout the week. Thank you all for your support of the show. Thank you, Juan, man. Big, big night. Thank you, Juan. And we're breaking things down each and every day here at Locked on Coogs. I'll leave it with Eric Frederick chiming in here at the end that Roberts made some big time foul shots, 12 points in the chair shot. He was 10 of 12 from the line, 10 of 12 from the line. Awesome out of Cougar Hoops. Locked On Cougars Premier, Locked On Podcast Network. That means your team every single day. Go Cougs.